Hi guys, Jordan from P&P Campers. I'm just going to be doing a handover video on this Autocruise Starfire. It's based on the Peugeot Boxer 51 plate, so it's just late 2001. Weighs 2.8 tonne, so you can drive it on any car licence, and it is the turbo diesel engine. So over on the left hand side under the bonnet, we've got your engine battery and a couple of fuses and relays up here, which are just basically to do with the split charging system on the vehicle. We've then got brake fluid up the top just here, power steering fluid. Your engine oil dipstick is just here, and this also doubles up as your engine oil filling point in here as well. We've then got the engine coolant up here in this reservoir on the top right, air filter inside this box here, and your washer fluid over there on the right. So we haven't had a final clean of the vehicle just yet, so please bear that in mind. So the white colour that runs on the cab all the way through to the back of the vehicle is written here is 249 Fiat White. So it's a very standard colour on these Peugeot Boxers and Fiat Ducatos. Same on this one just here. So yeah, 249. If you ever wanted any touch-up paints or anything like that, that's the one you need for that. So the diesel filling point on these is literally just here. So you push on the left-hand side of this, and that'll then give you access to taking out your diesel filling point. Inside the passenger door, not much to show, apart from the fact that you've got these swivel seats. So to actually swivel the seats around, you pull this handle here forwards, and you'll then be able to swivel the seat around really nice and easily. You can obviously move the seat forwards and backwards still on the original roller, but there you go. So the next locker I'm going to run you through is going to be this one here, which is our gas locker or LPG locker. So in the locker itself, we've got a 6 kilo propane bottle. So to turn this on, we go anti-clockwise around to the left, and to turn it off, we go clockwise all the way down around to the right. This little bit of hose here, it's got 2022 date on it, so you've got till 27 to replace that, and then your regulator is just here. Above that, we've got your awning light just here, which is wired up to the switch just inside the door here. So as soon as you turn the switch on just here, that does say sensor light. Now it's not actually a sensor light, it's been replaced for a normal switched light, but there you go, that's what the awning light switch is just there. Now above that, we've got your Fiamma F45 wind out awning. So if you wanted to wind that out, it's literally just a case of winding it from just here on this side, winding it out. It'll come out to about sort of this far or so, quite a way out. Drop the legs down, and then you can have an outside area. This particular vehicle has also been fitted with an external gas point, so you have got that there. If you want to use that as like a barbecue point, you've got the option of that there. So the step is manual, so to take that in and out, you can use your foot if you want to. There you go, there's your manual step. And what I'll do is I'll carry on around the outside for now, and then I'll jump in and show you what we've got in the back of the vehicle basically. So at the back of the van, we've got a couple of things to run through. So we've got this vent just here. This is your fridge vent. And so if you wanted to double check that the fridge was definitely on and definitely working, you can put your hand over here and you'll normally feel warm air coming out through this little vent. We've got the tow bar at the bottom, 2-bike bike rack, full side ladder there to get up onto the roof, and the toilet cassette. So this is a Thetford toilet cassette. You can see there, it does give you instructions on how to use it inside the locker, but I'll just run you through how to do that nice and easily. Now, I'll pop the keys in my pocket. All right, so to take the actual cassette out, we lift up on the little yellow tab here, and we'll then be able to take the cassette all the way out. All you need to know from there, really, is that you empty it out from here. So you twist this around like so, empty it out from the yellow cap. Whilst you're emptying it out, you should hold down on this little yellow button at the back. Once you've finished emptying it out, you can use this cap here as a filler. So you basically fill this cap up with the blue fluid, pour it back inside here, give it a little swish about, and then push this all the way back home, like so. And that's it. So super, super simple for the toilet cassette. If I just have a little look underneath quickly, just so I can see if we've got any drains that I need to run you through. Okay, so by the looks of it, I'm just trying to work out which tank that is. I think this is our waste tank just here at the back. See, I didn't do the HAB check on this particular one, so this is all sort of new to me. So if you want to drain out the wastewater, you've got a draining point just here at the back of the vehicle with a little valve, as you can see. And there should be another drain. It might be on the inside of the van for this one, which I think it is. So I'll show you that when we get inside. So on the off side of the van, not as much to run through, to be honest, but I will just show you what we've got. So we've got the electric hookup just here. So if you do have access to a hookup cable, really handy to have that plugged in, for a couple of reasons really. If you've got the hookup plugged in, then your leisure battery is being charged up all the time. Also means you can use any 240 volt appliances, and also the fact that all of your 240 volt sockets will come to life when you plug that in. Freshwater filling point is this one here next door to that. So if you wanted to fill up your fresh tank, you fill up from there. And then these two things just down here are basically just vents. For this one here is for your heater. So if you've got the heating on, you'll feel hot air pumping out underneath here. And if you've got the boiler on, you'll feel hot air coming out through the top of this one. So that is literally all they are. You haven't got to do anything with those. They're just sort of vents for appliances. So inside the cab, it's fairly straightforward. The only thing I will run you through just briefly is that you've got a really nice little immobilizer on here. So if I put the key in and turn the ignition on, you'll notice I get this little light here saying code. Now if that light there is coming up saying code, it will not turn over. You cannot start it. So all the time that code light there is on, it will not allow you to start the van. So to stop that from being on and to allow you to start the van, you get this little fob here, push it onto that, red light will go out, and so is the code light. So now I start the van straight up, and there you go. So that's the sort of sequence to start the vehicle up. Really easy, but it just means that if if somebody hasn't got this fob here, they will not be able to start this van. All right, so very simple on that one. So the rest of the vehicle, as I said, it's quite straightforward. You've got the indicators on this front stalk just here. Your lights and flash are on the back one here. Washers and wipers are on the stalk on the right hand side. You've got your lights, main on and off switches just here. Headlight adjustment, fog lamp, and as I said, that's your little immobilizer thing there. You've got the 5-speed manual gearbox, all driving very nicely, as we speak, really well. Previous owner, I sold the vehicle, basically this was a part exchange against another vehicle that somebody else bought up at one of the shows. They absolutely love this thing. They've owned it for a long time. They said that they've done some new glow plugs and bits and pieces like that under the bonnet, so it starts on the button every time really nicely, just drives so well, and they've really looked after it, so it's really helpful. So you've got the hazard warning lights from the middle there, and I will just say that noise is quite normal for motorhomes. It will probably happen when you indicate left and right as well. It's just to allow you to know that the indicators are on. Yeah, that's about it really. Okay, so if I turn around now and jump into the back, as I said, we haven't had a full clean on this one just yet. It's not quite ready to go out. Literally just needs the cleaning, to be honest, but there you go, so just bear that in mind. So when you come into the habitation door, first thing you'll notice is that there's no control panel above the door. So normally, or 9 times out of 10, the control panel on these vehicles will be up here above the door. In this case, it's not, it's over here in this cupboard. So basically, if you ever needed to get to any of the electronic systems of the vehicle, you take this little cover off and there'll be a screw there, and then you can lift this cupboard up, and that's going to reveal a whole world of of cables and things. So, you know, unless you have a problem with something, you don't want to do that. But that's where all the majority of the electronics are. So this is your control panel and also your power supply unit. It sort of doubles up as one system. So you see there it says power management system, and it's a PMS 5B WAH. So that is just essentially the plug-in systems is the company that make them, but that is essentially just the make and model. So these plug-in systems, control panels, power supply units are unbelievably easy to use, I find. So what we've essentially got is the main switch that you want to use is this one here in the middle. So it says battery select. We've got van, off, or car. So at the moment we're on van, which means that the leisure battery is sending power to anything that needs 12 volt power. So now when I come over to the light switches, all of my lights come to life because I've got the van battery selected up there on the panel. If I go to off in the middle, all of my 12 volt power turns itself off, and the lights are off now as well. So when you get out of the vehicle, basically, if you want to turn everything off, select off on the battery select button, and that will isolate any 12 volt power. If you want to use the vehicle battery to power the things in the back end, you can go up to car, and so now anything that needs 12 volt power, such as lights and things like that, is now being powered by the car battery, the engine battery. Now, the only reason you would ever want to select car is if you wanted to charge the car battery up via the electric hookup. So if you've got the electric hookup plugged in, obviously I don't at the moment, but if we did, we'd have this here switched down to on, the charge supply, and it would light up red. When you got that lit up red and the hookup's plugged in, it will be charging whichever battery you've selected here on battery select. So let's just say your engine battery is really flat and you haven't got a charger for it. You can plug your hookup cable in and select car on the battery select. The battery charger will then start charging the vehicle battery rather than the leisure. So that's kind of the idea behind that. For the most part though, you're either going to have it on off or van, because really we want the leisure battery to be powering all of our things in the back end. As you can imagine, self-explanatory, if we had the engine battery powering everything in the back end of the vehicle, after a little while it's going to go flat and you're going to be stranded in a field. So that's the idea behind that. So next door to that, we've got pump external and internal. Now you haven't got an external pump, so you don't have to go up ever. Go down for internal, and that's going to essentially turn the power onto the pump and allow you to use all of your taps. So if I just lift this up here, it's kind of there's a bit of a process to what you need to do if you want to use the water system. I'll run you through the process. It's not a big process, but it is an important one, so I'll run you through that now. So essentially, if I just get to here, so as I was saying outside, the the drain off point for your fresh tank, because it's an inboard tank here, you've got this cap on the top of the tank here. So you can get to the top of the tank like that nice and easily. That's your fresh tank. Let me just double check inside in here. Pull this out. Sorry about my camera work, it's not the best. But right, so when I lift this up, we're going to reveal a couple of things that we need to talk through. So over on the left hand side there, that is your boiler. So the big grey box there is the boiler, and in relation to the boiler you've got this little yellow tab down here. So that is your boiler drain off point. So essentially, if it's coming up to winter and you're not going to be using the vehicle, what you need to do is lift that tab upright so it's facing vertical, and then it will drain all the water out from inside the boiler to stop it from freezing up over winter. Okay, so that's your boiler drain off point. This black box here is your heating. That's your Propex heater, or Truma, sorry. And then down here, we've got your freshwater drain off point. So if you want to drain out the fresh water from the fresh tank, you turn that valve there and all the water will drain out onto the floor. This little thing next door to it, this little valve here, is your pressure switch for the water pump. So if you wanted to adjust the pressure slightly on the water pump there, you can do that nice and easily from there. So the little process that I was talking about, it's handy to have all this in one place. Essentially, you need to make sure that the boiler is full of water before you start trying to light it up. As you can imagine, it probably sounds quite silly for me to sort of have to tell you that, but you know, if you were trying to light a kettle up or trying to, you know, switch a kettle on and it was completely empty of water, it's going to overheat, or at least it just won't work. So you need to make sure that the boiler's full before you go ahead and start trying to use it. So the only way to do that is, first of all, just make sure that your drain off point is laying down flat like it is now. Second, make sure that you've actually got some water in your fresh tank. So you can test that by pressing down on this little test button here, and it should come up telling you about how much water you've got in the tank. So you've got about 3/4 of a tank there. So I know that the boiler drain's closed. I know that I've got water in the tank. And so now all I need to do is turn the internal pump on. So the pump's now on. So I can come over here to the tap and I can draw some water through. Normally what I would do is I'd draw the water through on the cold side first. So lift the tap up and just basically make sure that we get some pressure coming through on the tap. You need to make sure that the water's not kind of coughing at us and spluttering all over the place. And now turn this around to the hot side. Same again, you know, it's not coughing at us, it's not spluttering. The water system's quite happy there. So if the boiler wasn't quite full of water, then essentially what would have happened just there, when I turned it around to hot, it would have just started coughing and spluttering, and we wouldn't have really got any water coming through the tap. So the fact that it came through nice and easily just then just shows me that the boiler is definitely full. Also, just have to point out, on most videos, the motorhomes don't drain out quite as well as houses do. It's just, unfortunately, the drains on these don't always run dead flat, dead straight. So that's normally the reason why they don't drain out particularly quickly. But you see, it is draining out pretty well. Right, so yeah, I mean that's the process for the water. Really, you just got to make sure that you check that the boiler's full by just making sure that the water's coming through nice and clear on the hot side. And as I say, you can check your water level there nice and easily just by literally pressing down on your test button. So if I just push this bed back now, literally pushing on it, just nice and easy, until you get a bit of a click like you just heard there. And that's the seat all the way back. So it's also a good point there. You saw how easy that was. I literally just pulled on it, and you meet these two in the middle, and then you've got your double bed going across. So the last thing on here, or the switches anyway, is that you've got another button here. You can press up on the test switch, and it should tell you the battery voltage, although that's not doing anything there. It might not be wired up to the battery voltage one there. Some of them were, some of them weren't. But yeah, so to be honest with you, a good indicator for the battery is the fact that your lights are still shining really nice and bright. If the lights start to go a little bit dim, it's normally a good indication that your leisure battery is going a little bit flat and that you might want to plug a hookup cable into it for a little while. But yeah, we can have a little look at that if you like, to see if we can wire it up or see what's going on there. I might have a little look after the video just in case there's something silly on it. But it may just be that it wasn't wired up like that from new. I'll have a little look. So on the right of this, we've got these 6 fuses. These are little sort of glass blade fuses, or glass fuses, sorry. And it tells you what size they should all be. They're all 10 amp. And essentially to take these out, you literally just undo on the little flathead screw there and it'll pop out. So these are all going to be for individual things. So there'll be one for the lights, one for the pump, etc. Anything 12 volt basically will have its own fuse. And you've also got your mains trip switches as well. So it has got a little diagram telling you what they all do. So you've got sockets, water heater, and then charger and fridge. So if you have any problems with any of those appliances specifically on the mains, you can just double check the mains trip switches there. Okay, so appliances now. The particular appliances in this vehicle are all of a nice high spec. So you've got a 3-way fridge just here. This is an Electrolux electronic ignition fridge. So you've got the option of 12 volt, 240 volt, which is mains, and gas. So at the moment, I haven't got access to using either of these because I haven't got the engine running for 12 volt. I haven't got a hookup cable plugged in for the mains, so I can't use either of those two. So I need to light it up on gas. So what I'll do is I'll open up the fridge door, because in the fridge itself, you've got this little peephole here that you can actually double check that the flame's definitely on. So to light it up, really simple. All you need to do, press on your ignition switch just there. You'll see it starts clicking and you can hear it clicking as well. And then all you need to do from there is push in on this and round to the left. Should light up as you saw just there. And that little peephole there just allows you to see the little blue flame and just lets you keep an eye on it, basically. That's the idea behind it. So just holding on to that for a moment, just to let the pilot sort of warm up a little bit. I'll thermocouple. And I've now let go of it. Right, so if it stays on, as you can see there, it's still on. If it stays on like that, that's all you need to do. I would always recommend as well leaving the ignition switch on even when the flame's lit up. It won't be sending any power down to it. As soon as the flame lights up, the ignition switch will turn off. But the idea behind leaving the ignition switch on is that if for whatever reason the flame blows out, the ignition switch starts flashing at you again, so you can tell if something happens and the flame goes out, the ignition switch will come back to life and tell you that it's not working. So the other two functions that you've got on the fridge is the mains. So if you've got the mains cable plugged in, you literally just select mains like that, and you know, that's literally all you have to do. And the 12 volt one here is for when your engine's running only. And the idea behind the 12 volt there is that it will keep the fridge cold whilst you drive. So really, you need to get the fridge cold first before you leave, either on gas or on mains, and then switch over to 12 volt whilst you're driving, and it'll keep the fridge cold as you're going. Right, so obviously you've got the sink up here with the bit that comes down here, so you can use that as like a bit of extra worktop space, I suppose. You've got 4-burner hob. So you've got the 4-burner hob, grill and oven. So you've got an ignition switch on here, which will do the 4 burners, the grill and the oven, all of them. Underneath here, more than likely got a couple of gas isolators, I should think. Not in there. Somewhere else then. So yeah, the oven will light up from the back just there. allow that to come through a little bit. See a little bit of flame lift there, quite normal, until it warms up a little bit. There you go. So that's how you light the oven up. Grill is very similar. Only difference really with the grill is that it lights up in a slightly different way. I have to do it when I can see a little bit better. I've got two hands, but yeah, so the grill, you have to make sure that the grill lights up both sides. All right, so when you look in there, you'll see what I mean. When you light it up, it will light up one side and then the other, but you just have to make sure that it definitely does do the other side as well. And then the 4 burners on the top, pretty straightforward, just like a normal household cooker, to be honest. All working really nicely. Only thing I will say is that it's always really important to, well, 2 things really. The first one's going to be really self-explanatory, and I don't have to say it, I know, but I always do. Please, please do not put the lid down whilst a gas flame is on. I can promise you that it will shatter the glass. Other thing, if you've been using any of these, including the grill there, because the grill's vent is this one here in the middle. If you've been using any of these 4 burners or the grill for a little while, and then you switch it off, don't put the lid down straight away, because again, these things stay hot for a long time, especially the grill. So you need to make sure that you allow these to cool down at least a little bit before you put the glass lid back down. Obviously, I only had it on for a few seconds, so it doesn't matter. But yeah, just something to bear in mind. So you've got a load of storage just here in the middle. This is a really important thing. So this is the bit that plugs into your external gas point. So if you wanted to plug this into it and twist it, you then got a little hose point here on the end that you can put a rubber hose onto. This is also quite important. This is for going onto your fresh water tank. So you can put this on the tank like a drain, and then you've got this point here that you can plug a hose end into to fill it up with. Down below, got your gas isolators, that's what I was looking for really. So the gas isolation points, if I just zoom in a little bit. So the gas isolators here, if you wanted to isolate the gas from any of the particular appliances, you can do them from there. So you've got, if I run you through which ones are which, first one there is your boiler, next one is the heater, next one is the oven and grill, and the last one is the fridge. So if you wanted to isolate the gas from those, you literally just turn them 90 degrees so they're laying flat, and then it will isolate the gas from that appliance. So, in the bathroom, got nice bright lights up here. Press the switch there to get those to come on. I very rarely run through much in the bathroom because well, there's not much to run through really. You've got a hot and cold tap for the sink, hot and cold tap for the shower, and the toilet is normally the only bit that I sort of run through because people might not have used one of these Thetford toilets before. The top of the toilet will spin around. All right, so it will go wherever you want to go. You've got a flap on the side just here, which basically opens up the flap, the drain into the cassette. So open, closed, and then you've got a button at the back there, which is your flush. So if I press on that, it'll pump around the water for the flush, and then you essentially just drain it out into the cassette by pulling this and then push it back. And that's it. Again, the original sticker is on the toilet there if you want to have a little look at that. If you forget how to use it, obviously you can refer back to the video, but yeah, really nice sized bathroom as well in this one, I will say. Normally in the majority of motorhomes you kind of get a bit cramped in the shower compartment, but you see there how big the shower unit is. Obviously you got the curtain here as well, but yeah, really nice little layout on this one. I'll turn those lights off. Right, in this wardrobe, absolutely stacks of storage. The brown box just here is where we put all of the paperwork for the vehicle. This is some original carpeting, awning winder, the original standalone table just here. So the idea behind that is that it will stand on its own here in the middle of the vehicle, and you can sit either side of that. Obviously you can have your front seat swiveled around as well to have sort of 6 people sat there quite comfortably. And the other thing is we've got your Vision Plus. This is your TV aerial booster. So if you want to turn the TV aerial booster on, you've got the switch on the left just here that turns that little blue light on and off. Essentially this is the booster for the signal to go through to a TV. Okay, so other than that, I think the last thing that I need to run you through is going to be these 2 little dials over here. Now these are super simple dials. These Trumatic systems are, well, one, very reliable. We don't tend to have any issues with these, but also I find very simple to use. So the bottom one here that says Ultra Store, this is how you use it on the gas. Okay, so if you want to heat the water up inside the boiler, all you need to do is set your temperature. As you can see there, we've got 30 all the way through to 70. So let's just say 50 for argument's sake. And what I'm going to do is going to press up on this switch just here. And essentially, I've just heard that it's lit straight up. But that's all you need to do. It will do its thing, it will light up for you. And when it gets to 50 degrees, the water inside the boiler, it will turn itself on and off to keep it there at that temperature. If it doesn't quite light up, you'll get a little red light come on just here. And that essentially just tells you that the flame hasn't quite lit. So all you need to do in that situation is just have a little run through, make sure that your gas is on and there's gas in the bottle. Make sure that your gas isolator is turned on and exactly as it is now. And then just give it a go again. Just try it again, really. So that's how you use the boiler, nice and straightforward. The one above it is your heating. So, I mean, I was going to say, obviously it's too hot today, but you won't know that because it's a video. But today it's about 30 degrees outside. I think it's unbelievably hot. So I do not think this is going to light up because it's got a, well, just like a household heating, you've got a thermostat somewhere because you can set the temperature on this one as well. So you've got from 5 all the way through to 30. There's a thermostat somewhere in the vehicle which will tell the boiler, the heater, when to turn on and off. You know, when you can set the temperature and it will keep it there. So on a day like today where it's really hot, I don't even think it will light up, but we'll see what it does. So on the left hand side, we've got small and large flame. As I said just then, we've got your temperature selector just here. And then we've either got push down for fan only. All right, so any circular vents around the vehicle will now be blowing around cool air, basically. Back to the middle turns the entire system off. And if we go up once, it will then put the heating on. That little flashing light there is telling us that the temperature is too high inside the vehicle to light up. So as soon as it cools down a little bit, you won't get that little flashing light come on, and it will light up and it will get to the temperature that you've set. All right, so yeah, easy as that. Back to the middle, turn them off. And that's it, really. I don't think there's. I'll just show you something. One little thing. On these vehicles, you've got these funny sort of things here to keep your cupboards open. Let me just run you through how that works. So the idea behind it is that unfortunately sometimes, it doesn't mean they're broken, but sometimes these can get a little bit stuck. So this is why I'm running you through this. When you're in the open position like this, it's just going to stay like this forever, basically, until you push it up. And what happens is it will drop down, and now it will sort of push back through. Okay, so if I just show you that again, see, it's dropped down a little bit too far. So now if I want to hold it up, I'm basically just going to push this little handle up a little bit, and then it's sat in there like that. So hopefully that makes sense, but drop it out like that. And then if it drops down a little bit too low, push it up a little bit and it will sit in. And that's going to be the same for a lot of these cupboards, I think. Some of them work better than others. Oh, these ones are the newer style. But anyway, I just thought I'd show you that just because it's a bit of a common problem, really. Unfortunately, it's just there's not a huge amount you can do about it. But there you go. Right, so I think I've covered everything. If you think there's anything I've missed out or anything you want going over again, just give us a shout. Otherwise, I look forward to seeing you soon. Thanks very much.